The cleanup is underway in the aftermath of Super Typhoon Yagi, which struck several Asian countries as the most powerful storm of the year and one of the strongest in decades. Yagi has now weakened after killing more than a dozen people as it passed through China and the Philippines. The storm also struck Vietnam, where it caused flooding, sunk boats and destroyed buildings. Yagi has now been downgraded to a tropical depression, but officials are still warning of the danger of landslides and flash flooding in some areas.
Residents in Vietnam's Ha Long Bay assess the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi. Intense rainfall and powerful winds ravaged the area, shredding buildings and ripping trees from the ground. Business owners are now counting the cost of the destruction.
This is one of the biggest storms in Ha Long. The restaurant signs have all fallen off. The ceiling has collapsed. The metal roof needs repairs. The damage is severe.
More than a dozen people were killed as Typhoon Yagi battered Vietnam. More than 150 others were injured. People have been reported missing, both on land and at sea. Thousands of emergency personnel have been deployed to help with recovery efforts. Yagi had previously ravaged the Philippines and southern China, creating a trail of damage.
The destruction and impact caused by Typhoon Yagi is beyond imagination, resulting in huge losses to people's lives and property.
Yagi weakened after moving across Vietnam and has been downgraded to a tropical depression. However, authorities are warning of further flash floods and landslides in the mountains following the torrential rain.
DW correspondent James Chater has been following the developments in the region. He joins us from Taipei. James, what is the latest information on the storm and the damage that it caused?
Hi there, Monica. Well, as you mentioned, we now understand that this storm has weakened as it passed over the northeastern parts of Vietnam, passing over the cities of Haiphong and Hanoi. These are cities with millions of inhabitants that were impacted pretty heavily by this very strong typhoon. We understand the most significant damage has taken place in these two cities. Haiphong is an industrial city with many manufacturing bases of international companies. At least 14 dead, according to local reports now in Vietnam as a result of this typhoon, with many more still missing, both on land but also at sea too. There are risks still of landslides as well. This is something that authorities have been warning about with the significant amount of rain that has fallen on this part of Vietnam, but also the images that we've seen coming out of social media from this typhoon, just really extraordinary images with trees at horizontal angles, motorcycles unable to move along highways because of the speed of this wind. And now the cleanup operations are going to get underway in Vietnam, but also in other countries that have been impacted by this typhoon in China and the Philippines as well.
Now, typhoons are obviously nothing out of the ordinary in that region, but this was a particularly strong one. How prepared is the region for such even stronger typhoons in the future?
Yeah, well, we understand some 450,000 military personnel were deployed in Vietnam alone to deal with both the cleanup operations, but to support civilians that have been impacted by this typhoon. Vietnam, again, was lucky in a sense, I guess, because it saw the typhoon had a bigger kind of lead-in time before the typhoon made landfall to prepare for this. So the stay-at-home warnings that the authorities issues no doubt had some benefit in terms of limiting the amount of damage to life and also to infrastructure. But the question facing Vietnam, but also governments across this region, is whether in the years ahead, the measures that are currently in place are going to be fit for purpose. We know as a result of climate change that tropical storms in this part of the world are getting more intense. Already we've seen this year Typhoon Gamy batter Taiwan in late July. Also just last week, Typhoon Shanchan dropped record amounts of rainfall on Japan too. So authorities are going to be looking at the preparedness over this typhoon season to make sure, as these storms get more intense in the years ahead, that they're going to be able to prepare in the correct way.
All right, DW's James Chater there in Taipei. Thank you so very much.